Hey, what's up guys? It's Chris Lee and you are now watching United Destiny Entertainment Tutorials Online. Hey, what's up guys? Chris Lee of United Destiny Entertainment back with another tutorial. Hey, check this out. I know for years I was doing tutorials inside of software like FL Studios, Logic, Pro Tools, but I was doing the majority of that on my MacBook Pro. And I didn't really do any on my Windows computer just because I didn't know how to record the system audio for Pro Tools. Well, I actually found a software called Voice Meter. Great software. It's free. Basically, what it allows me to do is to use my Screen-O-Matic screen recording software, which needs the system audio to record the actual audio from the computer. But the problem is it doesn't record any audio from any ASIO drivers. So I needed this particular plugin to go ahead and achieve recording the computer software system audio inside of Pro Tools, my DAW, Cubase, whatever programs you guys may be using. For me, it's Pro Tools. But now I'm able to record my audio, which I'm doing right now through my microphone going through my Fast Track Ultra. And I'm also recording the system audio from Pro Tools. So I'll get into how to do that in another video if you guys request it. Right now, what I'm gonna be doing with this video is just showing you guys how I'm mixing a particular song of my 6-year-old son. He's doing a rap song basically inspiring and motivating young kids to stay in school and stay educated. I'm pretty excited about it. So let's jump right into the mix. Now I'm gonna go ahead and turn off my system audio for right now, or I might not. Let's just go ahead and jump into the mix. All right, so first things first. I know a lot of you might ask what microphone I used for the recording. It's gonna be the TLM 103 Neumann microphone going through the 737 Avalon. Okay. Let me go ahead and play a little bit.
My name is Arian Lee, I'm only in first grade and they wanna be me. I can't blame them. I know my ABCs and 1, 2, 3. I'm smarter than your average kid. They don't hit me though. I just got a game. Do you wanna play? I make good crazy chicken wings. If you wanna be cool, gotta stay in school. Just do your homework, then jump in the pool. I'm a kid, that's a good life. Good life. Toys, friends, that's a good life. If you stay in school, you win a man. Stay your home, work for fidget spinners, man. Fidget spinner. My name is Arian Lee. I'm 6 years old and I'm gonna change the game now. My name is Arian Lee.
Okay, so that's the track. Now we're gonna go ahead and let you guys hear and see what I actually did to make it sound good. Now, I use different plugins. I'm just gonna go through a few of them to give you guys a general idea of what I've did. Right off the back, I'm just gonna turn off every plugin that I have on a final out, the Vox final, everything, just so you guys can get a general idea of what the vocals sounded like going straight into Pro Tools. Okay, so check this out. I'm gonna even go to the tracks and possibly turn off the leads, verb and delays as well. Okay. All right. This is what it sounded like going straight into Pro Tools.
My name is Arian Lee, I'm only in first grade and they wanna be me. I can't blame them. I know my ABCs and 1, 2, 3. I'm smarter than your average kid. They don't hit me though. I just got a game. Do you wanna play? I make good crazy chicken wings. If you wanna be cool, gotta stay in school. Just do your homework, then jump in the pool.
Now, it sounds pretty good. A lot of you guys who can't seem to get good sound and audio is you never get your levels right. And that's the problem why your audio never sounds good once it's mixed. If your levels are balanced, or if your levels sound good going into Pro Tools, or your audio sounds good going into Pro Tools, then you should be fine on a mixing phase. You shouldn't have to do too much. So I'm going to go ahead and add all the reverb back for a quick second. And the first thing that I did with his vocals was I just added a little auto tune to his vocals. I'm using a particular plugin called Meta Plugin. It's basically a third-party plugin host plugin that allows me to use my old VSTs and old Waves plugins inside of Pro Tools 12 since I didn't go out and buy any of the new plugins. I just felt like that would have been a waste of money. So what I did was bought this plugin, and it allows me basically to JBridge, which is another VST. I'll put the links in the description, but these two plugins allow me to use all my VSTs inside of Pro Tools 12 without having to buy any more plugins. So that's what I did. All right, as far as the vocals, there's a couple things that I did. The first thing that I wanted to do was de-ess some of the S sounds and his vocals of the sibilants. Check it out. So I basically went to the frequency of 7 kilohertz and turned down the range of -6.2 dB.
My name is Arian Lee, I'm only in first grade and they wanna be me. I can't
Without it?
blame 'em. I know my ABCs and 1, 2, 3. I'm smarter than your average kid.
With it.
Don't hit me though. I just got a game. Do you wanna play? I make good crazy chicken wing.
Very subtle, but it definitely gets the job done. The next thing I did was went in and added a small EQ 7 band. So I went to some of the low mid frequencies and I just cut it just a little bit around 200 hertz. Now he's a kid. I don't have to worry about him having a lot of low mid frequencies and low frequencies in his vocals, but still, if you can hear just the slightest things in the vocals, then go ahead and cut it. When you cut the low mids and the low frequencies, it definitely helps with the clarity, so it's not clashing with any of your sub kicks or sub bass lines inside of your tracks. I also went to the mid frequency, high mid frequency, cut it there just a little bit. Check this out.
My name is Arian Lee, I'm only in first grade and they wanna be me. I
With
can't
it.
blame 'em. I know my ABCs and 1, 2, 3. I'm smarter than your average kid. They don't hit me though. I just
Now you might not be able to hear that. You might be able to hear it depending on how trained your ears are, but it's very subtle. Next thing I did, let's just jump over to some of these Vox plugins over here. I went in and added a C4 compressor, and this is a multi-band parametric compressor. So basically, I would be able to compress certain frequencies inside of the frequency spectrum.
My name is Arian Lee, I'm only in first grade and they wanna be me. I can't blame 'em. I know my ABCs and 1, 2, 3. I'm smarter than your average kid. They don't hit me though. I just got a game. Do you wanna play? I make good crazy chicken wing.
Gave it a nice little compression in certain mid frequencies, and again, this is something really subtle. It's not anything that's too much, but it did kind of take away from the clarity. So what I did after that was I added an EQ to go ahead and put some of that clarity back. So what I did was cut some of the low frequencies, boost a little bit of the low mid frequencies this time to give it a little bit more body, and then I boosted it in the mid range, cut some in the high mid frequencies, and then boosted over 10K to give it some edge or sharpness to be able to pierce through the mix again. So check it out. Without it?
My name is Arian Lee, I'm only in first grade and they wanna be me. I
With
can't
it.
blame 'em. I know my ABCs and 1, 2, 3. I'm smarter than your average kid. They don't hit me though. I just got a game. Do you wanna play? I make good
Without it?
crazy chicken wings. If you wanna be cool, gotta stay in school.
With it.
Just do your homework, then jump in the pool.
If you noticed, it gave it some clarity and some presence without being over exaggerated with the plugins. Okay, so check this out. The next thing I did after that was I added another de-esser to help take some of the sibilants away, or the S sounds, just because the hissing and stuff like that with him being a little kid and having missing teeth, it started to affect the way it sounded when I started to EQ it and stuff. So check it out.
My name is Arian Lee, I'm only in first grade and they wanna be me. I
With
can't
it.
blame 'em. I know my ABCs and 1, 2, 3. I'm smarter than your average kid. They don't hit me though. I just got a game. Do you
Without
wanna
it?
play? I
with it.
Be cool, gotta stay in school. Just do your homework, then jump in the pool. I'm a kid, that's a good life. Good life.
And I basically went to 5,000 kilohertz, really 5,300, but still, and basically just pulled the threshold down to it affected that particular area. And if you notice how the vocals with the de-esser, the vocals sound present without having a lot of those hiss sounds, destroying the clarity of the actual vocals. So that's that. Now, before I add anything else, all I did was add a stereo imager to make it wider. And what I did with that was, I really love this plugin because you can make the vocals really wide, especially when you have things panned out. It just makes the vocals spaced out and really wide inside of the stereo image. And what I like to do is make it really wide, but then once it starts going past this range for me, it starts to sound a little sharp or a little too wide. So I just bring down the gain to bring some of that balance back. Okay, so go ahead and check this out.
My name is Arian Lee, I'm only in first grade and they wanna be me. I can't blame them. I know my ABCs and 1, 2, 3. I'm smarter than your average kid.
Okay, now that's what the vocals sound like with no reverb, none of that stuff. Now I'm gonna go ahead and start adding the reverb and the rest of the plugins. So I went with your basic air reverb inside of Pro Tools for the vocals. Check it out. It's really simple. It's nothing much. And as far as the reverb, I didn't put a whole lot on there. So check it out. This is just gonna create some space and separation between the vocals and the instruments.
My name is Arian Lee, I'm only in first grade and they wanna be me. I can't blame them. I know my ABCs and 1, 2, 3. I'm smarter than your average kid. They don't hit me though. I just
Without
got a
it?
game. Do you wanna play? I make good grades, eat chicken wings.
With it.
Wanna be cool, gotta stay in school. Just do your homework, then jump in the.
Now I'm not sure if you guys can hear that, but it's a really subtle um, effect and ambience and acoustic sound around the vocals that creates that separation from the instrumentation. One more time.
My name is Arian Lee, I'm only in first grade and they wanna be me.
And if you notice, the reverb tail is very subtle as well.
My name is Arian Lee, I'm only in first grade and they wanna be me. I can't blame them.
And as far as the delays, that is pretty much the bread and butter of this actual mix because it made it bounce. Now, before I jump into the delays, what I did with the reverb is I added an EQ after it, and I basically cut the high end off of it just so that the reverb is only affected from everything from 5K and under.
My name is Arian Lee, I'm only in first grade and they wanna be me. I can't.
And that's only to keep the reverb out of the high frequency of the actual verse. I just want the reverb really to affect the mid range, the high mid frequencies, and the low mids, things like that. The delay, I just use the basic mod delay. Check it out.
My name is Arian Lee, I'm only in first grade and they wanna be me. I can't blame them. I know my ABCs and 1, 2, 3.
Now, I got the feedback to 35%, which at times can be a bit much, but this particular track, I wanted the vocals to actually kind of bounce a little bit. So that's what I did with the delay.
My name is Arian Lee, I'm only in first grade and they.
And one of the reasons why I did that is because his vocals isn't dubbed 5, 6, 7 times, 3, 4 times that, like most people like to do it in studios. I don't think all that is necessary. So I wanted to use the delay to give his artistry some personality. All right, so now let's jump into the good stuff. The next thing I did, now for my output on the tracks, I usually don't have a lot of time to, bounce it down and get ready to send it and, do mastering in another session. So sometimes I do it in the box in the session and I just run with it like that. So what I did was I added some EQ, and that was to basically give it some body in this particular track. And give me 1 second. Okay. Yeah, to give it some body. So I added some more of the low end, and then I also boosted around 4K and around 7K just to give it some more of that crispiness.
My name is Arian Lee. I'm only in first grade and they wanna be me. I can't blame 'em.
Next thing I added was a SSL comp compressor. This is probably one of my favorite compressors. It makes everything balanced, meaty, fat, and full. Check it out.
My name is Arian Lee. I'm only in first grade and they wanna be me. I can't blame 'em. I know my ABCs and 1, 2, 3. I'm smarter than your average
Without it,
kid. They don't hit me though. I just got a game. Do you wanna play? I make good grades.
with it.
Eat chicken wings. If you wanna be cool, gotta stay in school.
Okay. Next thing I did was I added another stereo image. Don't have to talk too much about that. I just made it a little wider.
My name is Arian Lee. I'm only in first grade and they wanna be me. I can't blame 'em. I know my ABC.
And that's just to make it a little bit wider in the mix. After that, I added some reverb. I love finalizing my mixes off with some reverb. So check that out.
My name is Arian
This is
Lee.
without
I'm
it.
only in first grade and they wanna be me. I
With
can't
it.
blame 'em. I know my ABCs and 1, 2, 3. I'm smarter than your average kid. They don't hit me though. I just got a game. Do you wanna play? I make good grades.
If you notice, it actually helped the vocals sit inside of the instrumentation and the mix all together without having any distortion. Last but not least, I added a limiter inside of this plugin or this program session just to boost the sound enough for you guys to actually hear the clarity, and it made a big difference. Check it out.
My name is Arian
Without it,
Lee. I'm only in first grade and they wanna be me. I
with
can't
it.
blame 'em. I know my ABCs and 1, 2, 3. I'm smarter than your average kid. They don't hit me though. I just got a game. Do you wanna play? I make good grades. Eat chicken wings. If you wanna be cool, gotta stay in school. Just do your homework, then jump in the pool. I'm a kid. That's a good life. Good life.
Now to show you guys a big difference, just check it out one more time.
My name is Arian Lee. I'm only in first grade and they wanna be me. I can't blame 'em. I know my ABCs and 1, 2, 3. I'm smarter than your average kid. They don't hit me though. I just got a game. Do you wanna play? I make good grades. Eat chicken wings. If you wanna be cool, gotta stay in school. Just do your homework, then jump in the pool. I'm a kid. That's a good life. Good life. Toys, friends. That's a good life. If you stay in school, you win a man. Stay at your home, work a fidget spinners, man. Fidget spinner. My name is Arian Lee. I'm 6 years old and I'm gonna change the game now. My name is Arian.
Now, like I said, he's just a kid, so I didn't need to add a whole bunch of stuff and have him dubbing so many different things because it's not necessary. If you learn how to use your plugins properly, then you can definitely enhance the sound in the mixing phase before you get a track mastered. So I'm living proof that you can do that inside of the software. If you guys enjoyed this video, please comment, rate, subscribe, like this video, share this video. I'm gonna also post a link in the description box of this actual song if you want to check it out. I would really love for you guys to support it and share it. My son is 6 years old. He's trying to do something positive. We would really just like to get that video spread across the world just so people can really just have fun with it. He has a positive message. Also, if you guys need mixing or mastering, please check out my site at www. And matter of fact, let's go ahead and change that. It's United Destiny ENT dot myportfolio.com. I'll go ahead and put that in the description box if you guys need anything dealing with film tutorials, mixing tutorials, mastering, any type of graphics, After Effects, you name it. I do tutorials on a whole bunch of things. But guys, if you are interested in getting your music mixed and mastered by me, contact me. I'll get you guys going. I have very affordable rates. And my quality is industry standard. I've shown you guys that stuff for years. So thank you for watching, and I hope this video helped out. Have a good day.